explain about the consumer decision-making process. Before getting on the insights, let's introduce all my colleagues. First, starting with me, my name is Angelina.
My name is Hamza.
My name is Osama.
My name is Frida. Hi, I'm Amira. Okay. In this presentation, my colleagues and I will guide you through all 5 steps of the consumer decision-making process when buying a MacBook Pro. We will start with step 1, which is why someone would like to buy a laptop. Moving on to the process of searching for information, comparing different alternatives, thereafter deciding on which one to buy, and finally about the post-purchase behavior. We will end the presentation with sharing our carefully chosen recommendations.
The product that we have selected are laptops. They are basically the best portable workstations that everybody needs. The selected product is a MacBook Pro, which is a 2019 model, and it is the best in its respective class.
So we'll be looking at the MacBook Pro target market. So basically, designers and professional businessmen are basically the target market for Apple in buying MacBook Pro 15-inch. Usually their age range is between 20 years old to 40 years old and come from a high social class because MacBook Pro is quite expensive these days. And we can see actually there's a lot of people from developed countries such as USA, UK and other European countries using MacBook Pro and any other Apple products. So now we're moving on to step 1, which is going to be explained by Osama.
So the step 1 is need of recognition. We need to talk about why we are selecting the product, which is a laptop. Why do we need a laptop? We need a laptop for many everyday tasks that we do. A laptop is a must-have as it is a portable device. It can perform all the feats a PC can do, if not do them better. It is an ease of workspace and it is faster than a home PC. And it's not hard to carry around because recently, as laptops have become more powerhouses, they have also become more and more affordable and lightweight. A few years ago, laptops were uncommon because of the price tag, but now they are very cheap for the specification as compared with their household counterparts. Consumers also need a laptop as it is a portable screen which they can carry around if they are on the go. They can also show their presentations or have a meetings ready at a moment's notice. A laptop specialty is its QWERTY keyboard, which makes taking notes a lot faster than conventional means and also helps save paper in the process. Moving on to step 2, which will be explained by Amira.
So hello, now we'll be moving on to step 2, which is information search. So according to Medawi 2015, consumers tend to gather more information from different sources to reduce their risk of perception. In other words, consumers will be doing an extensive research before buying a product to reduce and to actually fulfill the need in the products they're buying. So one of the actually ways in external information search is basically by web surfing. Nowadays, we have internet and we can actually just use internet in searching everything. So there are many websites that you can search for information, such as the official website like MacBook, we have Apple, and HP, we have our HP official websites. And other than that, we can actually know some products through word of mouth. They actually find information from personal sources much more credible and less biased. Basically, we trust more our friends and our family while they are recommending the products that we should actually use. Other than that, we can actually know some product through advertisement. Let's see. There's a lot of companies paying all the advertisement company to actually promote their products so people will actually buy. For example, we can see like in YouTube, we have advertisement every few minutes. And let's moving on to something else. What things will they learn from knowing all this information search? Well, they will actually learn about different brands and different sub-brands. What will they offer? And other than that, they will actually learn about the variety of prices. Well, different laptops, different brands, different prices, yeah? And other than that, then they can actually learn what is the specification of the product itself. For example, maybe about the speed of a laptop, maybe the sizes, and Hey Hamza! Alright, Hamza's going to explain.
I'm going to be talking about the evaluation of the alternatives. So the evaluation of alternatives is a very important step when we talk about the CTMP, that is the consumer decision making process. Most consumers do not have the knowledge about buying a new product, and when they do not want to make the wrong decision by buying the wrong product because it's a very expensive deal. So most consumers would not want to buy a laptop without knowing what their money's worth. They might just buy the laptop by the word of mouth, and that could end up being a very bad decision. So I'm here to tell you about all the alternatives that you could buy other than a MacBook Pro. So I'll be talking about the MacBook Pro and the Razer Blade 15, which are both 2019 models. They are both very different in perspective. So the MacBook Pro is basically running on the Mac OS, that is the Catalina. The Catalina was released in October 2019, which is very recent. It has a Retina display that is True Tone. It has a matte display, that means the light won't reflect on it. It is a 15-inch screen, which is quite optimal. And the 16GB RAM, damn fast. 512GB SSD, which is upgradable up to 4 terabytes. That is amazing. And then it has a 9 to 13 hours battery life, which, my god, everybody needs that. Then we have an 8-core Intel i9 processor, that is a 9th generation, which is right off the bat, it is new technology. Then it has 4 ports of Thunderbolt 3. It has 4 ports of Thunderbolt 3. It has Radeon Pro 560. It is a 4GB graphic card. It isn't amazing, but it still gets the job done pretty well. It is very user-friendly. It has a great ecosystem if you have other Apple products. I mean, everybody loves it. It's priced at about 12,200 ringgits. Its weight is about 1.83 kg, which comparable to the Razer Blade is not much of a difference. But when you're carrying the laptop for 3 to 4 hours in an airport, that makes a lot of difference. It has a 750 ringgit 1-year warranty, which is applicable worldwide in every Apple service center you can find. So now that we're done with the MacBook Pro, I'll be talking about the Razer Blade, which is the competitor. So the Razer Blade is a Windows laptop, which is a completely different ecosystem than the Apple. It is running on Windows 10, that is the home-based version at 64-bit. It has an OLED 4K touch display, which is amazing. You have an option between the glossy display and the matte display. Glossy display is bad because you can see reflections on it, but it has an option so you can select, which makes it a bit expensive. Then there's a 15.6-inch screen size, which is basically more or less the same as the MacBook. It has a 16GB RAM, again the same as the MacBook. 512GB RAM, upgradable to about 2 terabytes, which is not as good as the MacBook, to be honest. It has a 4 to 6 hour battery life. I mean, that is terrible. Just terrible. 4 to 6 hours is nothing. Then you have a 6-core i7 9th generation Intel chip, which is again not as impressive as the MacBook Pro. It has a GTX RTX 2080 Max-Q, which is the best in the company, but that graphic card is more of a gaming graphic card. It's not exactly the kind of graphic card that everybody needs. It has 3 USB 3.1 ports and just 1 Thunderbolt 3 port. Its weight is about 2.03 kgs, which is more than the MacBook Pro. It makes a lot of difference, believe me. Note that 200 grams, that's a lot. It is very user-friendly, but it does not exactly have an ecosystem because it is a completely different standalone item. It's priced at about 13,830 ringgits, which is a lot steeper than the MacBook Pro. It has a 1,050 ringgit 3-year warranty, but that warranty comes at a price because that warranty is only applicable in USA and in Malaysia because these are the only places that have official service centers for Razer. Now, as you can see, when you compare both of them, the MacBook Pro is a lot heavier on its side. I mean, Razer Blade is amazing and all, but the MacBook Pro, it is what you need. So as you can see after the comparison between the two laptops, the MacBook Pro is a lot better for our selected demographic, which is the elite and the business class. It is also very good for the designers as they need a very fast laptop. The Razer Blade does good as well, but with that battery life, I mean, it does not do as well as the MacBook Pro does because they both do the same job, but MacBook just does it better than the rest. The Razer Blade, mostly good for the gaming community, so not really for your everyday use. Colors. The MacBook Pro and the Razer Blade come in very different colors. The Razer Blade Pro comes in a black and a white color, while the MacBook Pro comes in a silver and space gray color. The silver and space gray give a very professional and astounding look to the laptop, while the Razer Blade more looks like a okayish laptop. When you look at a businessman, you would actually look at them using the MacBook logo on their laptops, which is professional, it is very fast, and it turns on at an instant. They both might share the same amount of RAM and the same amount of hard drive, but MacBook Pro performs a lot faster than the Riaz Pro. Now I'll be moving on to step number 4, which will be done by Angelina.
Yes. Okay, so step 4 is about the purchase decision. Based on chapter 6, Lab has said that some external influences can be social factors, and that can be family, friends, social media, or social class. Family and friends can influence the consumer mainly because the consumer trusts them and their advice. And then we have social media. Social media can easily affect the decision. For example, Facebook, Instagram, blogs, and YouTube, because the brand Apple is shown and advertised almost everywhere. And the product MacBook Pro is also very popular in social media. And then we have social status. That can also affect the decision, because MacBook Pro is counted as a high-class social product. It can also depend on the internal influences, like personal factors. And then we have the income or the lifestyle. Like I said earlier, the MacBook Pro is counted as a high-class product, so the income will of course affect the decision. But the decision can also be affected during the purchase process. Like if the consumer buys it in a store, it can depend on the seller and the availability to see or feel the product. And if the consumer buys it on a website, it can depend on the design and the simplicity of finding the exact specifications of the product. Yes, and for the 5th and final step, we're moving on to Frida.
Thank you. The last step is about how the consumer will feel regarding its purchase after it's been made. The consumer will feel satisfied with the purchase if the expectations of the products were met. In this case, with the MacBook Pro, the consumer might feel satisfied because of the product being extremely user-friendly. Especially design and business professionals will enjoy using the product because it offers all the necessary software and is working smoothly. Furthermore, the brand itself can actually add to the feeling of satisfaction by communication. Based on chapter 6, Lab has said that one way to achieve this is by sending out post-purchase letters to the customers or by advertising that justifies their purchase. On the other hand, the consumer might feel dissatisfied if their expectations were not met. One reason for dissatisfaction with the purchase of a MacBook Pro is that every time Apple releases a new version of the product, the one purchased becomes outdated, meaning it won't be able to do the updates of the latest software. Whether or not the consumer is satisfied with the purchase will impact the future purchases of similar products. If satisfied, it will increase the chances of the consumer buying other products from the same brand, for example, an iPhone. But in contrast, if dissatisfied, it is likely that the consumer will choose to buy technical devices from other brands in the future.
Hey guys, what do you want to recommend the marketing department?
I would like to recommend that sometimes you have to travel with work, and for that you must have your portable device with you. And my recommendation is the laptop is the best device as you're working while traveling. Thank you.
What's your recommendation?
Recommendation for step 2, which is information search. Basically, marketers should actually help Apple to promote their products through chatting with customers, which have interactive chats with customers online.
So when it comes to the marketing, the only thing that the MacBook Pro lacks is a touchscreen, and Apple is very well known for its touchscreen. So I would say if the MacBook Pro can add a touchscreen in there, that would be the best thing they can do.
What about your recommendation?
Yes, my recommendations for step 4 is more product placement. For example, in TV shows or in movies.
And for the final step, our recommendation for the brands to increase the possibilities to use different software with their products.
In the end of the video, we realize how important it is in understanding the consumer buying decision process, as it is a huge advantage to advertise and strategize a sales process. The 5 steps of the process has clearly reflected what every consumer goes through, from needing recognition to information search, followed by evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and ending with post-purchase evaluation. To conclude our presentation today, we can understand the consumer behavior when buying a product, and in our case, a MacBook Pro by Apple. By knowing and understanding our target market too, let us understand the needs of the customer in one product.